Hey guys, let's talk about turning today. Just kind of want to go over the basics of how we can set up our tools, how we can turn on the machine, the different parts of it, headstock, tailstock, quick change gearbox, your cross slide, compound rest, all of that fun stuff. And split nut and lead screw is what it's called. Okay, so one thing you guys are likely going to see is that I'm wearing a hat. Whenever I machine, if I'm on a manual machine, typically I'm going to be wearing a hat because I have very puffy hair and all of these chips are going to stick in there. And I do not want to start a fire. And I also don't want to lose half of my hair. So I just keep this hat on. So usually what I might tell students, just wear a baseball cap, something like that. Apart from that, you're going to see I have my short sleeves. You can wear long sleeves, you just have to roll them up, and then fine with that. No necklaces, no rings, safety glasses, of course, and I have my safety boots on. I can't lift my leg that high right now. I'm old. Okay, so there's two important things we really want to do. We got to set up our tool, and then we got to clamp our part in the chuck. So we need all of what you see here. And our tools are orange because they're actually designated to this machine here. So every one of the tools that are going to be used in this machine is orange. That is just one way that we keep everything uniform. So we have these splines back here. It's going to line up there. Just going to pop that in like that. So what I'm looking for to know that it's unclamped is that there's a line right here. Usually that's going to be in line here. So to tighten it, we're going to take this guy here and just pull like that. This does not need aggressive pressure. We don't have to go ham pulling on it. Okay? So, apart from that, I'm going to come from the other side here, and I'm just going to take our tool, I'll pop that in here, and you don't have to, basically, don't clamp it out here unless you absolutely need to. That's just so far out, you're going to cause a lot of vibration, depending on how heavy of a cut you're taking, or even how light of a cut you're taking. So I'm just going to take a wrench here, and then I'm going to tighten it down. This also doesn't need a crazy amount of torque. That's enough there. Okay, so now I've got that adjusted. I moved it just ever so slightly, but one thing I wanted to show you guys is actually this little part here, the bottom part of our dovetail, the male part of our dovetail. I would usually suggest making this face flush to this face here. The reason is because we have had people where they will bring it all the way back or very far back like this and then go and try and machine. And the issue is that, see, you're gonna see these little divots here. That's actually because these jaws here have hit that face there. So I usually will tell people, make them flush. That means that depending on which way your tool is facing or sitting, the furthest point will be the tip of your tool here, or the tip of your insert. That way we're not going to hit the chuck. The only time you're going to hit the chuck is if you run your insert into it. And hopefully you will hear that way before it happens, or find that way before it happens. So that being said, the way you know that you're hitting your chuck is that you'll hear little ticks, and that's every time a jaw hits that face. So you'll hear like tick, 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 tick. That will be when your chuck is hitting your compound rest there. So we do not want that, and I make sure to show us this so that it doesn't happen. Now for this part, I want to make sure that our tool height is set. So what I'm going to do is we pop in our center here. This is one of the ways we do it. I will also use a scale against the part. I can show you guys what that looks like when I do that as well. Okay, so I have my scale lightly sandwiched between the part and the tool. You can see it there. Yep, and then I'm actually going to show you from the side. So this is one of the methods I was taught. Basically, I want to see that the scale is straight. So it's on a slight forward angle like that right now. That basically means that our tool is a little bit too high. What we're looking for is, well, it's pretty okay. If it's straight up and down, then we know we're good. If it's on an angle like this, we're too high. If it's on an angle like this, we're too low. I'm just going to move our tailstock closer to the tool. So flick that lever down. This is the second lever. I'll show you what that looks like as well. And then you just push it. Okay. And then I lock it up like that. And now I'm going to bring my tool in just a little bit closer. Wheel this out. Okay. And And then what I'm looking for is to see that this tool is either on or slightly below center, but on is better. We'd know if we're below center because we're going to have like a little nub left on our part when we face it. If we're above center, we're going to have like a conical, like that sort of shaped nub when we go to machine our part. So from this angle, it looks like we're a little bit high. So there's a screw at the top right here. I'm just going to, there we go. I'm just going to loosen it, and that's going to drop our tool. So focus there, and I'll show you. So see, we're going down there. And then I'm looking directly in line with this just to make sure. There we are. That should be okay right there. I'm going to take a part, and I'm just going to clamp it on in. So you need your chuck key. Just always remember, we're not going to leave our chuck key in the chuck. But first what we do is we're going to make sure that all our cam locks are tight. So cam locks are right here at the back here. This is what is holding our chuck onto the taper here. So what I'm really looking for is this line. You may see it. Hopefully you can see it from there. There's a little line right here, and it's got to be in between these two arrows. If not, let's see if I can loosen this. There we go. Okay, so if it's out, it should be on this side. This line will be lined up here. It's really easy to turn, and usually it's going to pop up. But yeah, like that. And that is it, popped up. We just have to make sure that they're tight. So I'm going to go and push that way. That's really all you need. It's not like a screw. It's not holding it in place like that. So as we twist, you'll see this little shape going in between. So when it's in the locking position, it looks like this. That will align with the cams on the chuck as well. If this line is in line with this little one here, your chuck is loose. There's a chance that if you go and run it and you try and take some cuts, it's going to wiggle itself off, which we do not want, as you can imagine. So we're always going to make sure that that's tight. Before we start cutting, we're also going to make sure our chuck is tight. Usually what I'll do, depending on if I have like if there's like a through hole or anything, I'm going to tighten every single one of these, all three of our scroll chuck here. And that's going to make sure my part is extremely secure. If there is a hole inside, there's a chance that if I tighten it too much, it's going to lobe it. So we just have to be careful of that. And usually I'll take lighter cuts and a little bit less pressure. Okay, so to set our RPM over here, these three levers specifically is where we're going to set our speed for how fast the lathe is going. So for this part that I have over here, I want to go about 700. So you're going to see, of course, we don't have every individual speed. We don't have, it's not like a belt-driven type style. So we just have a few options, and there's certain gears that are going to allow us to get to different numbers. So we're going to start with our 700. So we need to be in L, so low gear, and then we want to be in the plus. So we're at plus already. And then as I'm doing this, I'm not going to do this while the machine is on. That would be absolutely insane. All right, so what you're seeing here is actually the headstock of the machine. So that's our RPM selector. This is our plus minus, and this is our high low. So this is all the gearing that's going to allow us to get the different speeds as we're machining. So this is the other reason why we do not change our speeds while the machine is running. It will be disastrous. You're just smacking gears against each other. So when you hear that kind of clunking sound, if you turn on the machine and it's not engaged, this is what is smacking against each other. And yes, this would be the example of a geared head lathe, a geared head lathe. A variable lathe is basically driven by a belt, and then you can just change the speed to any sort of increment between its lowest and highest. That's in gear, and that's in gear there. If it doesn't go in gear, you're going to hear that sound. That's not good. We don't want that. So you're going to spin your chuck just a little bit by hand, and then that's what's going to put us into gear there. So now I can see that it is kind of hard for me to turn, which means we are in gear. If I were to toggle this, we're good. Just hit the brake there. So one other thing I forgot to actually say is that when we are getting into this shop, first thing, we do have a sheet. This is a checklist sheet. You got to make sure that you do all of the safety actions first. So that's going to include making sure all of your cam locks are actually tight, make sure your part's secure, make sure your e-stop works, which it does not turn on there. So I just hit the e-stop there. Yeah, and we're making sure that there's no damage to the machine. And if there is any damage, then we go tell our millwright, and he is on top of it. All right, and then for the second part where we're setting our feed, I'm gonna look, this is our inch per revolution. I'm gonna look at this chart, which is way over here. So I want to go somewhere around 9,6/10 is what our chart will allow us to do. So I have to change this lever. So it's gonna say 2ASX and under the 1 column. So 2, I'll just spin my chuck to get that in place. AS, if it doesn't go in, spin your chuck. X, and then 1. Let's engage everything. So E-stop off, power on, we see our lights, so we're good. There we go. Okay, so now we know that we're engaged because as I spin this, our feed bar is spinning. If it is not spinning, this machine will not feed. Okay, so past that, there's one more thing we have to do for our feed rate to actually work. Over here, we have our apron. This gives us several options here. So we have the option for threading. This is going to engage our split nut. You can literally see what it would look like there, but I'll move you over there so you can see what it actually looks like. This here is our feed lever. So when you want to engage the feed, you're going to push this down. But first we have to figure out which direction we're going. So if we are turning or facing. So if we are in the 3rd position here, our little picture here will show us that we would be turning. For facing, you're going to see this is your in feed. For facing, we have to be in the 1st position. So to see what that looks like on the plunger, so this is in 3rd position. This means that it will access our turning to feed along the, for turning. So to go into facing, we're just going to push it all the way in. And if we wanted to do threading, we'd just be in the 2nd position, somewhere around there. And for that to work, we have to make sure that our actual lead screw is turning. Now moving over to the other side, I'm going to show you what the half nut looks like, or the split nut, some people will call it. So if I can just tilt you under here. So this gear here is for our chaser dial. This is so we can thread. And then down here, this gold piece here is our half nut. So you're going to see I'm just flicking the lever here, and that's what's going to clamp onto your lead screw and allow us to create a thread that is going to move the machine in time with the chuck. And then up here, right here, is our rack for our rack and pinion. That's what's going to allow us to feed by hand, and otherwise it's going to allow us to feed along the Z-axis. And then you'll also see backlash in the Z-axis. So that's my backlash there. It's not very much, which is not too bad, but once we start moving like that, when the carriage actually starts to move, that's when we're out of the backlash. So if ever you miss a dimension when you're going this direction, you have to come back and then go back into it just to clear that backlash. Otherwise, you might get the wrong size on your part. All right, people, let's take a cut. So toggle, make sure it's good, and then power on. Okay, so I'm just gonna touch off. Usually, if I need this to be like only a tiny little cut, I'll use a little marker, and then that's going to show me right away when it's cutting. But for now, I'm just going to do a little touch off here. Okay, move back there. I'm gonna set my 0. Usually what I'll do is I'll take a cut and then set my DRO to the diameter of the tool, diameter of the part, and then we'll move on from there. But right now, I'm not really machining this to a certain size, so I'm just gonna take a cut. Let's go 50 thou. So this is reading in diameter, meaning we're only taking a 25 thou depth of cut. And this is what I wanna see. I wanna see our chips breaking off. So that looks good. I want my chips a little bit bluer, so I'm actually gonna take a deeper cut. So now I'm going to take a 60 thou cut. So I'm going to go to 110 and my DRO. Okay, and run that again. So you're going to see the difference of depth of cut versus feed rate. So I didn't change my feed rate, I only changed my depth of cut. I don't love how these chips are coming off, but it's fine. It'll still be okay. Okay, and this is a feed rate I'm more going to use for roughing. I'm not really worried about finishing with this. Typically, I'm going to go a little bit slower for that. Okay. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to file it. So I'm going to get my file here. Looks like this. You see, it should say lathe file right there. And I'm going to file and deburr the edge right here. And so what I usually do, I'm going to turn this to a lower speed. So I'm going to go about 200. So again, I'm going to hold my chuck here. I'm going to e-stop it for safety reasons. I'm going to hold my chuck and I'm going to move it to the minus position. And now I can't move it by hand, which means we're likely in gear. So, and low. Oh, no, and I need to be in high. So, yep. And there we are. So toggle, oop, power on, toggle, looks better. So I'm gonna let that run and then I'm just gonna file. So when I do this, I stand away from the part. So you're gonna see I'm gonna come in from this side and I keep this away from my head. So the tip of the file actually would, if it catches, it's gonna shoot away from me. It's not gonna hit me in the chest. Or a lot of people file like this. Guys, this could be a lot more dangerous for you. So I'm just gonna push forward as I do this. And I want this rounded out a little bit. This is obviously gonna depend on what your drawing asks you to do. But if you need a chamfer, you can always put in a tool, put it on a 45-degree angle, and just take a cut that way. Yeah, so that's how I deburr my parts there. Lastly, one other thing, you guys gotta clean up when you're done. So take my chip brush, and then I'm just going to clean up off the machine. Everything's gonna go into the bottom just below our carriage down here. And we just scoop that up, put it in one of our chip bins, and you're good for the end of the day. Make sure you wipe off all the coolant that you're using on top of the machine or some of the oil that's on top of the machine. And just don't leave it a mess for everybody else. That's really what we're looking at here, so. All right.